whoever you are. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. I'm attorney Gavin Richard. Check out my latest book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. For approximately 2 years now, I have gone on a painstaking quest to investigate the rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Jello, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. Cosby resurrected the genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives in white America that it was possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2018, respectively. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn the attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network? From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more in The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format. The Facebook page is at Commonwealth Cos, ladies and gentlemen, at Commonwealth Cause. You can go ahead and click on that like button to go to at Commonwealth Cause to get more information on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., the destruction of due process in the United States. That's going to be available very soon in Amazon, on Kindle, and paperback format, ladies and gentlemen. So the place to be is right here with me. If it's Thursday, you know it's Random Topic Thursdays here on channel GBoo2786, on Gavin Richard, our backup channel, Amazon, on Twitter via Periscope at GavinRich2786, and Facebook on the Gavin Richard channel. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. We have a lot to talk about. We will be discussing Professor Cheryl Cooky and her disrespect on the legacy of Jackie Robinson. I wanted to get Shawn's thoughts about that. We'll also be talking about what's up with Cory Booker and his caping. Finally, second grand jury convenes to determine if Deshaun Watson should be indicted, but then declined to do so. All and Kentanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearings, nomination hearings ended up being a circus. All this and more, ladies and gentlemen, here tonight on our channel. And before we get started, of course, we like to pay some dues. Uh, of course, we've already said where you can go to the Facebook page to get the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr. But I want you to check out our Creole Season and Blend website, NawnisCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. Go order you some Nawnis. That is our delicious seasoning that we have available for you. Try it in chicken, meat, or fish. Nawnis goes great with every dish. I know some of you have already ordered some Nawnis as well, and it is Bomb's Burgers, as Tariq Nasheed would say. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd also like to point out our music. You can go get Video Soul on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. Although I don't like you to get Spotify, I like you to go to Apple. Just like I want you to go to Apple and Got to Get On Up, which is our theme song for the night. But in out of my protest with YouTube and censorship, I'm not playing that again. And I like to get right into the story. So let me go ahead. Hope I'm presentable for you all. Boom. All right. Now, this is a change of pace for me. Of course, we're not in our normal setting at home. I'm at a convention that I was supposed to do out here in Tennessee. So that's another reason why I'm running a little bit late. It's not 8 o'clock at 8:30. So I was out with the fam eating some dinner. So uh, sorry if you all were waiting. And those, we got some people coming. We're hot and heavy. We got 15 people here. And let's not keep our guest and friend waiting, who you all know is no stranger to this channel. He has written over 75 books, and I'm going to get him to plug in some more of his books tonight. He is the author of The Man's Crisis. You can buy his books at this link on Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Shawn James. Brother Shawn, how you doing this evening?
I'm good, Gavin. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing all right, man. Shawn has stopped simpering in cyberspace, which is available on Amazon. And of course, Shawn, why don't you do some more books to try to plug in this week?
Well, the SJS Direct 2022 catalog is live now on Amazon.com, and you can pick up ISIS Legacy in paperback right now. And you can pre-order East-Team or Horror of the Hyena Woman on Amazon.com right now. And in addition to these two books, which are part of the 2022 catalog, I have over 80 other titles on Amazon.com featuring positive stories about Black people and diverse stories about the Black experience.
All right, always great. Brother Shawn, we're going to go ahead and get into it. One of the things that just came out, and I didn't know this happened until earlier this evening, is that you have Deshaun Watson, we all know was indicted, was cleared of charges on last week when a grand jury convened out in Houston declining not to press charges. Now, what happened today is it was announced that was in Harris County. But what happened today is that Brazoria County, which is, I believe, another district within Houston, was also tasked with had a grand jury task to determine whether or not a criminal charges should move forward on Deshaun Watson, the embattled former Houston's quarterback, now Browns quarterback. He's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He actually signed a record deal of over $270 million. Now, Rusty Harding, who is the attorney for Deshaun Watson, made this statement regarding the grand jury's decision not to press charges or not to indict, rather, your Deshaun Watson. He says, "We are thrilled that the Brazoria County grand jury cleared Deshaun Watson of the one remaining criminal allegation." Hardin said, "We've known all along what people who learn the facts also know. Deshaun committed no crimes. In fact, two separate grand juries have now found that there wasn't even probable cause to believe he committed a crime." Now, I want you to look at how they phrase this. Now, this is Mike Florio. Now, I already talked about this jerk because he came out against Deshaun Watson before, but look how he writes this. He says here, and I'm sharing it with you right now. You guys can't see that. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm gonna zoom in. Is that a little bit better, Sean?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
can
see
see
that?
it now.
Okay, now look what he says. "That's technically accurate, but still just a bit misleading. Grand juries are constrained by the evidence and arguments made and not made by the prosecutor. The defendant isn't represented. The alleged victims aren't represented either. The prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich. The prosecutor also can not indict a ham sandwich or any other lunch offering." Harding also addressed the fact that for most of us, Thursday's grand jury proceeding was a surprise. "Once the Harris County cases were concluded, we were informed that the Brazoria County intended to present their case to a grand jury on Wednesday, March 23rd. We and the complainant were offered the opportunity to provide any information we want to the grand jury. It's important to note that both we and the Cleveland Browns knew this grand jury presentation was pending and attempted not to discuss it publicly until it was completed. Grand juries are convened in secret. That's something that most people should know. Now, these cases, like, look how he goes on and says this. But after this attorney releases this statement, the district attorney later stating, and he ends it accordingly, "This matter is closed." This is what the DA said from Brazoria County. Now look what Florio writes. "But as previously discussed, cases can be resubmitted to a grand jury. The process is constrained only by the statute of limitations. Also, the DOJ could be secretly investigating this case or presenting evidence to a grand jury regarding potential federal crimes arising from its apparent habit of securing massages via social media that at times become consensual sexual encounters." What the hell is he writing? The DOJ? That's federal jurisdiction, dummy. What potential federal crime? What, Mann Act? That's what this sounds like to me. This is Mike Florio, and this is a lawyer. And by the way, the Brazoria County DA, the charge that Deshaun Watson was being being investigated for, Shawn, he was accused of ejaculating on this masseuse. Now, how long did she stay until the jizz came up? Remains to be seen. I don't
That's
know.
the case. She went along with this.
I don't know. But Mike Florio ought to be. I don't know if I want to even read further. But the way he sounds, the way he's writing this, makes it sound like he wanted Deshaun Watson to get busted. And he is correct. The district attorney can come back and press charges if he wanted to. But let's be real about this. You have no evidence, unless otherwise, I don't know any evidence as of now. But if all you got is you have his word versus their word. And very similar to the Bill Cosby case, as well as to Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, all these others. These women make these allegations. They do not go to the police. Like, well, let's say with Bill Cosby. They don't go to the police immediately. They have no physical evidence. Nothing to say what drugs that may have been given to them, what harm was done to them, if there was any bruising or rape. For instance, like the woman who we talked about before, that lion wench from the Playboy Mansion. The Playboy guy, you guys know who I'm talking about. The one that said Marv Albert assaulted her.
PJ Maston.
PJ Maston. Yeah, I should be familiar with that name because she's in the book, by the way, that I've written. When she said that she was raped and raped so bad she was bleeding and was walking out of the hotel lobby with blood dripping on the floor. But nobody said nothing. And you got Deshaun Watson, who has signed this $270 million deal. So, but Mike Florio, I just clicked on it. I didn't even know how this was going to come up. But Mike Florio, you could tell he's a suspected white supremacist, or at best, he's just a jerk. I like to think both, but jerk is the big point. Shawn, what do you think on this?
I think that these prosecutors are getting very desperate. They know they have no case against Deshaun Watson, and now they're grasping at the thinnest of straws. These prosecutors know that they have nothing to hold your Deshaun Watson on. And when you look at the evidence, it's clear that there was no crime committed by Deshaun Watson, but they want to get him on something because many of your white supremacists, they have to get a black man on something. He has to do something because in their mind, every black person, especially a straight black male, is some kind of evil and something he had to have done something, but there's nothing here with Deshaun Watson. And they don't want to let it go because they just don't want to take that L. And your white supremacists have been taking huge L's over the last couple of years, and they don't want to take a L on this case. And that's one of the things that keeps them trying to grasp at these straws, talking about all of these technical terms. Oh, we can bring the case back. It's like, what you bringing it back for? A grand jury already said that there was no case in one county, and another one declined to bring the whole case up. And if a prosecutor can't even bring up a grand jury to convene these evidence, there's definitely no case of any crime whatsoever. So when I look at this whole case, again, it's just desperation all around. And that desperation is shown in the actions of your prosecutors who just don't want to see things go as related to this black man because they want to be able to say that they broke a black man down and destroyed a black man's life. But there's no way that they can win on this at all because your Deshaun Watson didn't do anything wrong. Basically, these women offered themselves up for some sort of sexual act with your Deshaun Watson. And if they stayed to participate in that act, it definitely was consensual and there was no crime committed, even though he was just out here doing what every guy would. One of these guys, this is what they like to do with these kind of women, but not what I would like to do with those kind of women. But this is what he liked to do, and this is what they agreed to. But there's no crime committed in this whole situation. And what they're trying to do is make your Deshaun Watson the brood of the month, but there's no story here. And the sad part is they just won't let it go.
No, they won't let it go. And, Deshaun Watson, apparently, what, I'm looking at this, Shawn, and it seems like they don't want this thing to go through. This man has already been traded.
Yeah.
He's got $270 million. So I don't see what the purpose of this is. We keep bringing this back over and
Well,
over
with the
again.
white
Trying to
supremacists,
lynch him.
with the white supremacists, they want to see a black man broken. They want to see a black man locked up. They want to see a black man lose everything. They get off. They get pleasure from seeing black men go out here who are rich, be arrested, be prosecuted, be put in prison. Your white supremacist, this is entertainment for him. This is how he gets his rocks off. This is how he gets his pleasure. And when a black man beats them in their system, like an O.J. Simpson has, Bill Cosby did on appeal, this is something that they don't like seeing. It upsets them because it means that a black man actually beat them in their own system. And when a black man beats them in their own system, this is what makes many of these white supremacists fume and get angry. But in this case of Deshaun Watson, the thing that really also burns them up is the fact that he went out here and not only beat them at their own criminal justice system, he actually is beating them at their own economic system, because now he's got a big contract with another team from this trade, and he's doing better than he was before economically. They may have set him back for a year, but it's proving that he's moving forward. And this is one of the things that
Well, it's
burns
not.
up.
Yeah, well, it's not over with yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Finish your point.
they want to keep this thing going because they don't like the idea of a black man winning and beating them at their own game. But this is another L that your white supremacists are just going to have to accept taking, because that's what's happening now. They don't like taking these L's, but these L's are just going to be.
Well, it's not over yet because they're even talking about him if the NFL is going to step in. Because remember,
Yeah,
under the league policy, personal conduct policy, if you damage the shield in any way, even if you're not convicted, even if you're not arrested, they can suspend you for 6 games at least. They did it with Ben Roethlisberger when Ben Roethlisberger had those 2 rape charges. He was obviously not arrested on those, but he was still forced to sit out for 6 games. Same thing with Zeke from Dallas Cowboys. Even though he didn't do anything legal, never was arrested, and I thought that was a problem. They suspended him for 8 games. So I can just imagine that the penalties will be for Deshaun Watson. He will be suspended again, probably for 6 to 7 games, even though he has never been convicted. He has never been charged at all. When anything, it seems like it's groupie nonsense with all that's going on. But I can see what's going to happen. I just know if they suspended Ben Roethlisberger, you know what they're going to do to the black man.
yeah,
Uh, you know, but this is why black people should form their own NFL league. It's the NFL. They call it the No Fun League, but it's obviously it's a no black league either. A lot of blacks that run the NFL, that, and by that I mean the teams that are made up 90% black. The NFL is 80% black. The players are black, but they don't control the ownership of any of the teams, the management, nothing like that. You only had, I believe, 2, maybe 1 black coach that may have been hired, and that's questionable from the Miami Dolphins. They're trying to say that because his father is black, he's black, but he seems like he's passing because he didn't even know he was black. If you looked at his press conference, I'm not interested in any of this stuff, but I'm interested in what's going to happen. But this wouldn't surprise me if he gets suspended again. But what Deshaun Watson should do, he got the bag, and I can see why he went to your Cleveland Browns, because they were going to pay him more, and probably he wants to secure as much money as he can before he gets out of the league. That's just my thoughts. Shawn, if you got anything to say, go ahead.
that's all I got to say on this matter of Deshaun Watson. I mean, I think that they're railroading Deshaun Watson. They're try to take away his ability to generate wealth. They're trying to mess this man up. And sadly, more and more black people, we really need to look at the big picture of this NFL slave plantation. And we need to walk away from this NFL slave plantation and just leave these white racists to go out here and make their own money. Let's see how much money they make in their league without black players. Because when I looked at the NFL in the 50s, they were struggling back in the day. When the black players came, that's where they got all their money. And let's see what they can do if we walk away from this slave plantation and this slave sport.
Yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. But we are live in it. Now, that was NBC News. That was NBC That was NBC Sports. Now, let me show you. So, NBC comes at Deshaun Watson, but let's finish it what they do with black men. Look at what they did here. I talked about this on Tuesday before the tornado. And by the way, just so y'all know, I'm not in Tennessee because of the tornado or anything like that. My family and I made out okay. Uh, but praying for Arabi and the rest of New Orleans East that was affected, Retina, obviously. But I want to talk about this. Uh, I wanted your opinion. Did you see this? This professor out of Purdue, her name is Cheryl Cooky. She wrote an article on MSNBC on NBC News saying how Leah Thomas deserves the same admiration and celebration as your Jackie Robinson for breaking baseball's color barrier in 1947. Now, let me show you how NBC tried to even clean that up because there was uh, a backlash, rightfully so, by that comment. And Shawn, I don't know if you saw the article, but look at how they titled this. Leah Thomas's NCAA championship performance gives women's sports a crucial opportunity. Now, this is essentially Vera DeMilo in a swimsuit.
Off a win in the five.
Vera DeMilo, remember the Jim Carrey character?
Yeah, Venus de Milo.
That took steroids.
Yeah.
This is what you got in the swimming. It's a girl to do.
And he tied for 5th. So he was
Well,
a terrible.
even as a man, he was horrible.
He's a horrible athlete.
Yeah, he was horrible athlete. He goes to the women, gets first. Do you know they booed him?
Yeah, rightfully so, because here you are, you're a terrible athlete, and now you're trying to go into the
Yeah.
women's arena, trying to go get yourself in the first place. That is so weak.
Well, this is what the Democrats want.
Yeah, and this is
They
why
push
people need.
this stuff.
This is why people need to vote red, or for anybody else out there, because these guys are sick.
Yeah, but what's even worse is how this is a professor out of Purdue, Cheryl Cooky, who compared Leah Thomas to Jackie Robinson. And I did a whole video on it when I talked about it on my live stream, how disgusted I was at this. Her name is it Cookie or Cookie? Whatever her name is, I'm gonna call her Cookie because she's got to be Cookie. Now I'm just gonna read the quote, but look at this. There remains, though, a cultural investment in celebrating sport. Be Robinson as the first black MLB player, the first openly gay active, the first non-binary U.S. athlete to participate in the Winter Olympics, first woman to score in a Power Five college football game. By the way, what they're talking about, Vanderbilt kicked the field goal, and Vanderbilt still lost by like 48-13 or something like that. So she made history, but the team still lost. And she talks about how Jackie Robinson is celebrated for breaking. I talked about this too, Shawn.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson and my father and I even discussed it. Happy by that remark. Jackie Robinson played Diamond Field where he was threatened with arrest, but even my father added this. Threatened with arrest, son. He was threatened with death. He got death threats for playing with his white teammates. And they didn't even want. He had baseballs at him on purpose, at his head, to hit him. He was called nigger every time he entered ball diamond. So how is it that this professor, she can say this stuff and there not be consequences? And by we should call every time they make something like this, they should be called out. We should be hiring. Yeah, I'm going there. disgusted. You're a professor saying this garbage? What's going on with our kids learning under her? Go ahead, Shawn.
Well, I will say this about America's colleges: they're a sewer, and this professor is just another one of the rats in that sewer. And this professor really shows us how out of touch she is by comparing this, I don't know what it is that's with swimming, to the sacrifices that Jackie Robinson made. Now, your Jackie Robinson ran into racism and white supremacy. I mean, just like you said, he was called the N word. He had balls thrown at him. He had to deal with death threats. And this guy has not had any of those struggles or those run into any sort of the hardships that Jackie Robinson ever did in breaking the color barrier for Major League Baseball. In fact, when it comes down to this guy, he's practically been given every sort of privilege by the NCAA college and university system, and they've practically given him everything to protect him from any sort of criticism or any sort of attack because it fits their so called narrative for diversity and inclusion. And because it fits their narrative and the agenda that they want to push, they go out here and give this guy every pass as related to his behavior. And what's the sad part is that unlike Jackie Robinson, who could play the game by merit, this guy didn't know how to even win in his own sport because to compete against women and still come in fifth, this just is a statement of how whack a athlete this guy is and how terrible his skills are. And this guy knows his skills are terrible, so, because he knows he cannot compete in the world of men, what he does is go into the arena of women using the alphabet agenda as a crutch. And after using the alphabet agenda as a crutch, what he does is he tries to compete in the world of women and can't even win in the world of women. If it wasn't for him being the first alphabet person to compete against women, nobody wouldn't care about this guy. Matter of fact, he would have, if he had had a scholarship, he would have lost his scholarship due to his absolutely terrible athletic performance. I mean, basing this guy on the merits of his abilities and his skills, clearly he's not a talented swimmer. And outside of the controversy as related to the virtue signaling that the college is trying to do, this guy would be a loser based on his talent, or so-called talent and ability based on the merits, because he is just trying to get in here and fit in here. And these leftists, they only want to use him as a crutch for their agenda, like they did with the first alphabet NFL player who got cut and released, the first NBA alphabet player who got cut and released. And I noticed that nobody goes back to find where those people, and that just shows me that this is all, again, virtue signaling. And that virtue signaling is all about them pushing their agenda, not pushing the best player. I mean, this has nothing to do with Jackie Robinson, who, again, on the merits, was one of the best baseball players and came out here and showed tremendous skill as related to the game and could go out here and play great baseball. This guy he pales in comparison, and there is no comparing him to Jackie Robinson because Jackie Robinson came out here and put in the work that
Right.
any talented athlete would do.
His number is retired among all MLB teams.
Yeah, he's an icon because of his great skill as a ball player. And that's why they retire the number 42 all across the league. He is one of the world's greatest baseball players, and that can't be taken from him. But this clown, we all know that if it wasn't for this whole trend of this alphabet agenda, he would be seen as a failure all around, whether he was male or female, because to come in fifth against women really shows that you just don't have the skills overall. And if you just don't have the skills, you can't go out here and say that it's your gender, it's just you.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the United governor out of Florida, Ron DeSantis, he denounced Leah Thomas's NCAA championship in a 500-meter women's freestyle event. championship event. He called the University of Virginia swimmer Emma Wyatt the rightful winner. She was the one that finished second. And he called out the NCAA by allowing men to compete in women's sports. The NCAA is destroying opportunities for women, making a mockery of its championships and perpetuating a fraud. Now, he goes further saying, in Florida, we reject these lies and recognize Sarasota's Emma Wyatt as the best women's swimmer in the 500-yard freestyle. Now, I don't like or care for Ron DeSantis personally, but even a broken clock will get the right time at least twice in a day. So, I agree with him. You?
Yeah, I have to agree with Ron DeSantis here because this is again, this guy is a clown. He's a travesty, and he's not a female athlete. I mean, if he came in fifth, he's not a winner of anything. And you should celebrate the woman who worked on the merits, and you should celebrate the woman who went out here and put in the work. I mean, this guy, again, he's going out here and carpetbagging and piggybacking on other people, and he's looking to go out here and try to get his medals by chicanery. And the sad part is we have a whole bunch of leftist enablers at your universities and the Democratic Party who want to go out here and support this kind of guy in the name of so-called diversity, when all they're doing is promoting corruption and unethical behavior. But that's par for the course with these universities and these leftists. They believe dysfunction is functional. They believe insanity is normal, and they believe that doing crazy stuff is okay.
Yeah, Vera DeMilo there. I'm not gonna play it because I'm gonna get a copyright strike. But who remembers this character from In Living Color? What's a girl to do? You too can get rid of those awful breasts. This was awful. This was awful, man. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hey, and look at the face. If you could, look at the face of the women, the girls here, standing right next to him. Like, she's confused. Look at this.
They're disgusted.
Like, I really lost to this. I really lost to this. She lost to Shishi.
Like I said, they need to compete in the transgenders against other transgenders, and this guy will still lose
because he sucks.
When you're terrible, you're just terrible.
Terrible, Ernest. This is just terrible. To answer your question, someone asked, is Deshaun Watson's contract guaranteed? According to CBS Sports, it says here that he got a fully guaranteed $230 million. So they're going all in on him. I really wish he would have came to the Saints, but salute to Black Voltron, Vulcan 205. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. What's the girl to do? That was Vera DeMilo. Come on, girls, get rid of those breasts. Somebody wrote this. It said somebody wrote this meme. Somebody wrote, she said, Bill Tom- Leah Thomas is the world's best women's. So it says is the woman's champion. If you don't like it, she says you can suck her.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I don't even want to imagine that. Oh my goodness. Hold on a second, guys. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Ugh. If you all like this channel, you like the content, support our brother. Donate to his Cash App and my Cash App. His Cash App is $ Shawn. Is it Shawn James?
Shawn S. James.
Shawn S. James. Of course, you see mine in the ticker at the bottom. But most importantly, excuse me, buy his books on Amazon. Stop Simping in the Workspace, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, and also The Man Crisis, which is a great book. So we're going to move on with 2 topics in. We got about 2 more left. So next I want to talk about Shawn. I want to know, I know we resigned, yeah, Derek, I know we resigned Watson. Yeah, Tariq was talking about that. He was talking going in depth about it because he said eventually you're going to have people who, and it's already happening, where they want to use, of course, the women's bathroom now. But what's to stop somebody, Sean? I'm just curious if they say that they believe, if a man believes he's a woman, what about the age aspect of it? If he believes if you have a 30-year-old man who believes he's a 12-year-old girl,
This is
they,
insane.
they have people like that.
We
I've,
used to call those people insane, and we used to put them in mental hospitals. I mean, these policies to support insane people, this just shows. I have to wonder who's more insane, the person who presents this illogical point or the people who support the illogical point. I mean, there
both.
comes a point in society where you have to look at this insane person and say, this person is insane, and we need to get this person the mental health that they need.
Yeah. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Feed the needy. So I want to talk about this next topic, guys. We're moving in. Uh, I said it wasn't going to be a long show, but I'm trying to get into it. Yes, Derek, it is madness. What's up with Cory Booker and his caping? Now, of course, this past week we have had the Senate committee hearings to confirm Kentanji Brown Jackson to the United States Supreme Court. If confirmed, she will be the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court bench. And of course, people are coming out, caping for her, trying to push her there. And also, you had the Republicans who, of course, there's a script each of them get.
Yeah.
Republicans obviously are going to be against her. The Democrats are going to be for her. It's based off party lines. They've been doing it all the time. Butterfly say, oh, talking about William. He went to a spa walking around with his stuff out. His stuff still attached. Hey, because he feels like it, he is it. That's what they say. I'm Barack Obama and I proved this ass banging. Now, but did you see this? Have you been watching? Let me get back to the Senate committee hearing. Have you been watching this stuff?
I've taken a little bit of a look at it, but I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it because I see it for the farce that it is.
Yeah, and Cory Booker, he used his 30-minute time basically to offer praise to Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, this is just part of it. I don't know how long.
You're a person that is so much more than your race and gender. You're a Christian. You're a mom. You're an intellect. You love books. But for me, I'm sorry. It's hard for me not to look at you and not see my mom, not to see my cousins. One of them who had to come here and sit behind you. She had to have your back. I see my ancestors and yours. Nobody's going to steal the joy of that woman in the street, or the calls that I'm getting, or the texts. Nobody's going to steal that joy. You have earned this spot. You are worthy. You are a great American. Your hero is Constance Baker Motley. Mine, she has sat on my desk for my offices that I've held. She's my icon of America. Her name is Harriet Tubman. There is a love in this country that is extraordinary. You admitted it about your parents. They loved this nation, even though there were laws preventing them from getting together. When they were loving, there were laws in this country that would have prevented you from marrying your husband. It wasn't that long ago. It was last generation. But they didn't stop loving this country, even though this country didn't love them back.
All right, I got to stop it. This is the worst acting since Sheila E. in Crush Groove. Or better yet, I'm sorry, Sofia Coppola in The Godfather Part 3. Gosh. Did I hear a vacuum machine going off, Shawn?
Yeah. I mean, he was putting on the cape for a female, and the female was looking at him and was completely indifferent to all of his
He was
tap
a big
dance.
time simp.
Yeah.
He was a bigger simp than Mecca from Power, Book 2. Monet didn't even want him. And he still kept trying to get her. He even shot at his son to get her. Their son. Ugh. This was the whole thing. I haven't even watched the hearing before. What I'm hearing, it's just been a crap show. Well, before you do that, hold on. We got something here I want to play for everybody.
And what were
There's a loud vacuum machine going off now, ladies and gentlemen.
This was a certified minstrel show.
be free here? I can make this country love me as much as I love it. Chinese Americans first forced into near slave labor, building our railroads, connecting our country.
What?
Saw the ugliest of America, but they were going to build their home here and say, America, you may not love me yet, but I'm going to make this nation live up to its promise and hope. LGBTQ Americans
Here
from
comes.
Stonewall into Seneca. Hidden figures who didn't even get their play until some Hollywood movie finally talked about them and how they were critical for us defying gravity. All of these people loved America.
I'm done.
He put on a certified minstrel show.
Corey Bussy Babel. Yeah. Didn't he break up with Rosario Dawson?
I think he did. She was a beard anyway.
Of course, because they weren't together from the first place. She was his beard. Ugh. So to talk about the confirmation hearings, and of course, all this week, everything I've been seeing is all the symbolic talk. She gonna be the first Black Supreme Court justice. She qualified. We need this. We want this. The people, women that showed up, the groups that have shown up for her. I'm not really feeling it.
Well, most of us ain't feeling it because we already know what the game is.
Well, let me ask you: Is it? I don't. I think that of course, we love seeing Black people who are successful go forward, but when you look at her record, at the things she supports, she's a rubber stamp for the Democratic Party. It's a shield. I'm looking at her record, stuff she supports. She said Roe v. Wade was settled law. She said she supports she's obviously pro LGBTQ. You notice all of these Supreme Court justices, something I noticed, all of the attorneys and justices that sit on the Supreme Court, they've gone to Ivy League law school. You got not one that's actually sat and went to HBCU, with the exception of Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall went to Howard Law. He was a writer. Of course, we know Uncle Clarence ain't that. By the way, Clarence Thomas was sick.
Yeah, I know. I heard about Clarence Thomas, but I'd rather deal with an honest Clarence Thomas than a lying Kentanji clown Jackson.
What do you say she's lying about?
Because everything about her is she's just a white supremacist in blackface, and all she does is parrot the left's narratives. She doesn't have any voice of her own. She's just another one of these hand-picked bootlegs that they just hired to just go out here and represent their interests. She's no different than Sonia Sotomayor, who basically embarrassed herself a couple of months ago as related to the vaccine. I can't say the jab mandates. She embarrassed herself by showing she does no research whatsoever. And your Kanji Clown Jackson is the same thing. None of these people represent Black people. I mean, basically, they are what she is she's a what I call a white supremacist in blackface. She's a chocolate covered white woman, and she's just there to show passively representation while aggressively representing the same old white supremacy in her rulings and in her interpretations of law. So that's why I look at these hearings as a farce, and it only appeals to that baby boomer generation who was used to these symbolic gestures like the first Black female Supreme Court justice, the first Black president. We moved past that with Barack Obama when we saw that the first Black president didn't care about Black people. And now Black people are looking to be more selective about who we choose because we're looking at the tangibles as related to the interpretation of law and the tangibles that these people are going to bring back to the community. So when we look at many of these so-called first Blacks, we realize that many of these people that they're trotting out here are nothing more than handpicked bootlegs who are meant to just represent symbolically Blackness on the outside, but are white supremacists on the inside, and will just go out here and parrot the same talking points that their slave masters have taught them as they have come out of their Ivy League universities, and they're meant to make us think that they're about Black excellence and Black empowerment, when actuality they're just white supremacists who are out there to promote the same narratives that the white supremacist wants to hear and promote the same agendas that the white supremacists want to be promoted. So when I look at your Kentanji Clown Jackson, I don't see anybody representing the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. I mean, this swirler and hashtag divester married to a white man with biracial children who's never lived in a Black community. This is not a Black female Supreme Court justice. This is a Black on the outside Black female Supreme Court justice, just like your Clarence Thomas is a Black on the outside conservative Supreme Court justice. He's married to a white woman. She's married to a white man. Neither of them see themselves as foundational Black Americans. They see themselves as going out here and being honorary white people. So we're not getting any change as related to the interpretation of law. And that's why when I look at these hearings, from what I looked at them 30 years ago when I was in high school, I mean, 30 years ago, it was must see TV because I didn't know the truth about a Clarence Thomas. But now that I know the truth about a Clarence Thomas, I have less, and I've seen what happened with Barack Obama. I don't really care about a Kentanji clown Jackson.
Yeah. Someone said she's light. She's sympathetic to pedophiles.
Yeah, she is. She's passed
Yeah.
several judgments that gave them light sentences.
Yes. I did see that. Now, she went below the sentencing guidelines. Now, sentencing guidelines doesn't mean the judge necessarily has to follow it, but the fact is, these are it's pedophilia.
Yeah, these are sexual deviants. These are demons. They deserve life in prison.
Yeah. So I see people though that are happy because they're looking at the fact she's going to be the first Black woman, and how her daughters are smiling. And I saw the memes of her husband kissing her on the forehead. I mean, what does that do? When you see that, do you pay that any attention, or?
It basically says that he doesn't see her as a partner. He sees her as a child, or he sees her in a lesser than position, which is what most of the white men who get involved with Black women do. They don't really respect them. They just see them as a pet or a fetish, and that's what a lot of these women don't understand because they're so spellbound. They just think they've got the prize. It's like that woman who was married to Joshua Jackson who did the nude photos.
Jody Smith Turner.
Yeah, Jody Smith Turner.
Yeah.
They're in heaven because God is smiling with them and is with them, but they don't see that the man that they deify and worship does not see them as wife material. They just see them as the best they could do because white women don't want anything to do with them.
Jody Turner Smith, excuse me. Yeah, she was just in. She actually was just in the movie Without Remorse on Amazon.
Yeah.
She did Queen and Slim. That's enough said, guys. Guys, I'm doing the show still. Thank you. Can y'all hear y'all can hear that in the back?
I don't really hear anything.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Negro because what's up, computer robots? He wanted to know, I guess, my opinion on it. I saw the picture floating around. I don't know why. You know, she was in Clean and Slim, and y'all saw how that movie ended, so that says enough. But remember, Jodie Turner Smith is from Britain.
Yeah, these
Not
foreign.
an FBA.
Yeah, but just delusional.
And she posed naked. She posed naked for him, and he's fully clothed. What I saw in the picture, am I right?
Yeah, he was fully dressed in a tuxedo.
But she's the one that strips.
Yeah, she did that to try to say that she had it all, but she just looked like a big clown because basically she looked like his property, not like a person.
Yeah.
She thought that she was going to look good because she thought that, oh, I'm sitting here in paradise. I'm in this 5-star hotel. I've got my rich white man. I've got my biracial child. I can go out here and parade myself naked because I've got everything. But she made herself look like a fool because basically she looks like his pet and looks like just a complete idiot because she doesn't really understand the image that she's presenting of herself.
Yeah, I heard Queen and Slim was horrible too. That's why I didn't watch it. Queen Adamadaya Shakur is here too. She said anyone light on these pedos is likely affiliated with the elite ones to some degree. Might be probably right. Oh, Dad, Mom, people in the chat said hello. They can't see y'all waving.
Hello.
They said hello, butterflies 70. All right, yeah, my folks want to come up with me to Tennessee, so that's why I'm here. Yeah, but I saw that. I was just, some things too. If you're married, it doesn't, and for me, it's not even just the interracial aspect of it, but when you're married, I thought what you did between you and your husband was supposed to be behind closed doors in your bedroom. Why would you expose yourself like that?
She thought she was.
That's just morally, just speaking, like some stuff I wouldn't put out. That's just like when, like Sierra twerking and stuff. After a while, yeah, you did it, but now after a while, it's just like save that for me.
Yeah.
This pick was on. Peter Robots didn't want me to get banned. The pick was on page 6, so I'm not gonna get banned for it. I'm not worried about YouTube. No more. After all, I get copyright strikes for playing my own damn song. So, what's up, Tyree? Says Jody Turner Smith has self-hate issues, self-dignity issues. Danielle said, absolutely disgusting. Yeah. We're about to wrap this thing up, but I got one more thing I want to talk about too. Now, a couple of years ago, I brought this up in a talk about this, but let me just give my final thoughts on first off on wrapping up the Kentanji Brown Jackson hearings. Joe Biden said that his goal was to get a black woman on the Supreme Court, and she, of course, has to be confirmed by the Senate. Don't be surprised if the Senate doesn't confirm her.
Senate's definitely going to confirm her, but Joe Biden, yes, he gave you a black woman, but she's a
Surprised.
black on the outside, but she's a white supremacist on the inside. That's what people really have to really understand about this ruling. It's all about trying to get black women to get emotional and believe that they've gotten something. Because passively, yes, Joe Biden gave you a black woman on the Supreme Court, but aggressively, I guarantee you, this black woman will be working against black people and working against giving us interpretations of law that will empower black people. And we've got to stop falling for these okey dokes of the first black so and so. And we have to focus on the values these people have, the interpretation of law that they're going to represent, and the policies that they support and enforce, because that's more important than the color of their skin. It is the content of their character and the content of their actions that will show us whether they are black first or white supremacist supporters.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, and my thinking was that Senate is 50-50. It's 2 independents, 48 Democrats. You have 50 Republicans, but the vice president, of course, holds the tiebreaker. So yeah, she'll be confirmed. But I mean, the Supreme Court is still conservative.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be even matter with her being on the bench now, unless something happens to Clarence Thomas or uh, Samuel Alito or Roberts, something like that, then yeah. But we keep falling for the okie doke, yeah. So I'm not really, they have some black, trust me, they got black Supreme Court, they got black justices out here. Female justices are even qualified, even better than than the Honorable Kentanji Brown Jackson. Same thing with Judge Joe Brown talks about this. We need a black man on the Supreme Court to offset Uncle Clarence.
Yeah. The problem
That's
is with these politicians, we won't get a black man, a straight black man. All we're going to get are clowns like Kentanji Clown Jackson or another bootleg like Clarence because they just hand pick them. They have them on a shelf waiting to be picked.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas is hospitalized. Yeah. Now I want to share this with you all. Now I didn't have this in the topic of discussion, but I got to talk about this. This was brought to my attention earlier this afternoon. Now, say what you want about CNN, but this is a story I think everybody should see. That's this. The godfather of soul, James Brown, of course, died back in Christmas Day 2006. And it came out, and I talked about this back in 2020. I did a show, if you remember, in the broadcast that uh, they were investigating James Brown's death as a possible homicide. There was an affidavit of sorts given by James Brown's doctor stating how he didn't believe James Brown had died of natural causes. Brown supposedly died of heart failure back on Christmas Day in 2006. But the prosecutor's office out in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia, where James Brown had died, they vowed to look into it because there was some new evidence and new information. And 2 years ago, they vowed to look into his death, and newly released documents showed that they did very little. So on February 12, 2020, Jackie Hollander sat in a conference room on the third floor of the Atlanta courthouse and told prosecutors she thought James Brown was murdered. District attorney at that time was Paul Howard, and he listened, he took notes, and accepted a green plastic bin full of items that Hollander said were corroborating evidence. The DA said his investigators will look into our claims about Brown's death, but it seems not much was done, according to a CNN review of internal documents released in recent weeks. Potential evidence went untested. A key witness died without being interviewed. There is no indication that anyone tried to obtain Brown's medical records, and when the DA's office returned Hollander's property in a cardboard box in March of 2022, she said all the most important items she handed over were missing and without explanation. The documents obtained by CNN made clear that in nearly 2 years and under two Fulton County DAs, prosecutors did very little to answering lingering questions about Brown's final minutes. They never did anything on this case, Hollander said, and that's ridiculous. The new district attorney is Fannie Willis, who succeeded Howard back in 2021, and she closed the inquiry without taking action. The office had no response for an interview request or to the detailed list of questions, but Hollander first came to the author of this, Thomas Lake, back in 2017 to allege the godfather of soul may have been murdered at an Atlanta hospital on Christmas Day in 2006. This was at Emory Hospital, by the way, in Atlanta. His official cause of death was a heart attack and fluid in the lungs, and his daughter, Yama Brown, declined to have an autopsy done. But I found a dozen other people who knew Brown and said they wanted an autopsy or a criminal investigation. The doctor who signed James Brown's death certificate, Marvin Crawford, even stated that it was highly suspicious that someone perhaps could have given him an illicit substance that led to his death. And Andre White, a longtime friend of Brown, who said he kept a vial of Brown's blood from the hospital in the hope of proving that Brown had been murdered. White said, I would like to know who basically killed him. Even James Brown's son, Darrell Brown, had stated that he wanted an investigation into uh, Brown's death, to his father's death. So I'm just looking at this. I'm gonna put the article up in the chat for everybody to see. But I thought this was interesting, Shawn, to talk about this. Since James Brown, the godfather of soul, you would think if he were murdered or is alleged he's been murdered, that the DA's office would have at least done some type of thorough investigation. And the fact that they did very little is disturbing, to say the least.
Well, it's disturbing, but it's part of the course when it comes down to black men. When it comes down to black men, they don't really see a black man's life as having value, and they don't really respect black men the way they would respect a white man who was in the same position. So I know that these DAs and stuff really don't care when a black man loses their life, and that's why they just are very passive about doing investigations. And in the case of James Brown, sadly, they didn't really want to do much as related to his case because a lot of them probably resented your James Brown because he was a outspoken man who stood up for himself and stood very strong. So they really didn't like that kind of black man, just like they didn't like Bill Cosby. So what they wanted to do was bury his case and not really do anything about it. That's just one of the things white supremacy likes to do. In the case of powerful black men, they don't like to see when a black man who shows that he's got his own confidence and power. They want to send a message that we control everything and we don't have to do anything for you.
Yeah, James Brown was his own man. He was
Yeah,
independent. He liked to have his own. He had his own jet. He had his own plane. He had businesses that he ran. When they would send cars for him, the record companies would send cars. He would say, "Take the car back. Give me the money," because he knew what game they would try and run on him.
yeah. They'll make him keep. They'll say that the car was compensation.
Correct. Now, this is Fannie Willis. She's the new DA of Fulton County. Paul Howard,
Yeah,
who they voted out in 2021. Now, she was investigating Donald Trump as to whether he committed crimes by pressuring Georgia officials to overturn Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election victory. But don't you think even something like this, Miss Willis, should warrant an investigation by your office?
well, it doesn't fit their narrative. The whole thing is James Brown doesn't fit their narrative. Their narrative is, oh, we do whatever the white people want us to do. And this black man who actually could stand up for himself and speak for himself, we don't want to put out a story about him because that may inspire other black people to stand up and speak for themselves.
But the fact they didn't even interview, I'm just looking at this, and this is an extensive report now. This is supposedly all the evidence that they had in James Brown's debt that was turned over, and when they turned it back, the items were missing.
Yeah.
Hollander received a cardboard box via FedEx on Monday morning. It weighed 14.6 pounds, according to the FedEx shipping receipt, considerably less than the green plastic bin weighed when Hollander turned it 2 years earlier, and the box was smaller than the green plastic bin. So she said many of the items listed on her receipt from the DA's office included hair rollers, a black stiletto shoe, and clothing were missing. She said, even strange, to make matters even more strange, she said the box contained two older mobile phones that she did not remember seeing in the green plastic bin that she turned when she turned it in.
They played with the
The
evidence.
phone's batteries had been removed, but she said, but they had small red lights that were glowing red. There was no inventory letter from the DA's office or any explanation for the missing items. Right, they have to sign a log when they handle evidence. because there's a chain, as we call it, the chain of command, the chain of evidence. If there's something missing and things are not handled correctly, especially me as a lawyer, and something wasn't done that was signed over, then I can make an issue and say, hey, this is a Fifth Amendment, this is a Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment violation. This is a discovery violation. Somebody
Yeah.
tampered with evidence.
Yeah, the fact that the evidence box came in laying lighter than it was before is something that I would question, because I mean, if it was heavier when you got it and then later on it's got stuff missing, yes, this evidence was definitely tampered with.
Now, this man here, Andre White, this is a friend of James Brown, former football player. He died in 2020. He died about 4 months after the DA pledged to look into James Brown's death, but apparently he had a vial of blood from James Brown, supposedly, that he was going to get to the bottom of his friend's death. And he said no one from law enforcement had spoke with him. At his memorial service, his friend Barbara Mobley, a former Georgia state representative, said this about White. By the way, Andre, a close friend of James Brown, never ever accepted the official cause of death reported for James Brown, not for a second, and seemed pleased when earlier this year there was a media report of a reinvestigation into Brown's cause of death. So something happened here. But they do these celebrity knockoffs.
Yep.
Because in 2006, well, you think about it, I got a podcast coming up, ladies and gentlemen, where we're talking about those mysterious deaths of black celebrities and entertainers called Unsolved Mysteries, and I'm gonna have the trailer dropping for that soon. But James, what we talk about too, a lot of people don't know this, but back in 1965, 66, James Brown and Otis Redding were actually going to set up their own music publishing company. They actually had one of their own record label. And we know tragically what happened with Otis Redding in 1967. His plane mysteriously crashes along with other members of the Barcades, and only one person survived. James Brown never went forward with doing the music publishing company and the record company. And even his son believes that his father was murdered and says the reason they didn't kill him then with Otis was because they still needed to make money off of him. Sam Cooke, remember what happened to him because they said Sam raped or tried to rape some hooker at a seedy Los Angeles hotel. Yet, when you looked at the whole circumstances of it, when the hotel manager who was accused of killing Sam was at a coroner's inquest, Shawn, neither of these women had attorneys, which I think was telling. Even
Yeah.
Lee Harvey Oswald asked for a lawyer. You kill Sam Cooke, you're being could potentially be accused of second-degree murder, and you don't want a lawyer?
Somebody's being set up for a fall.
The gun that she had wasn't even she had registered to her wasn't the gun that was the murder weapon. So a lot of this stuff is suspicious what's going on.
Yeah. They really, there's a lot of stuff going on because a lot of these people don't want to see black wealth accumulate. They don't want to see people building black wealth. So they will do things to eliminate those who are working on black wealth. They don't mind you being rich. They don't mind you going out here and blowing money and being a consumer. But once you start talking about legacy and building wealth, that's when people have a problem with you.
Yeah. And I apologize to y'all if I'm yawning. I've had a long day. We're gonna wrap this up, but yeah, gotta be careful out here with this stuff, man. Computer Robots wrote, honestly, I hope that James Brown wasn't murdered, but if it turns out to be true, I would be so angry that nothing has been done about it for us to go on believing that this man died of natural causes. Well, I mean, a lot of people, celebrities that have died under mysterious circumstances. Prince, Michael Jackson, Sam Cooke, I mentioned him earlier. Uh, a lot of people, we know Michael was killed. There was a court proceeding now. They didn't call it murder, but they said involuntary manslaughter. But remember, Michael went a little further than what Sam Cooke did. Sam Cooke owned his music publishing, but he didn't get to enjoy the fruits from it. And in the end, he didn't get to own it. His manager did. Michael owned his own music publishing, as well as the publishing of other artists, and was making a killing off of it. And they didn't like it. And earlier this year, remember, or it was late last year, remember when they sold James Brown's entire catalog for like 90 million?
Yep.
James Brown was worth 10 times that. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up, man.
All right.
You want to do another plug-in, ladies, for everybody? Go ahead.
All right. Well, the first two books of the SJS Direct 2022 catalog, Isis Legacy and East-Team Horror of the Hyena Woman, are now available. Isis Legacy is available on paperback and Kindle format right now, and East-Team Horror of the Hyena Woman is available for pre-order on Kindle. And both books are going. East-Team Horror of the Hyena Woman will be available in May in paperback and Kindle format. And I'm hoping everybody picks up these two books on the SJS Direct 2022 catalog. And I also want to announce that all of the principal art for my upcoming comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is now complete. And now all I'm waiting for is the cover so I can launch the Kickstarter. I'm hoping they have that comic to everybody soon. And I'm hoping everybody picks up some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint this weekend.
Yeah, well, Computer Robots, James Brown's son had been talking about it for a while. There have been people talking about James Brown being killed, but it just never picked up traction, as we say here. And yeah, Shawn has the Woman Crisis that's coming out later this year.
Yeah.
You all also know that I have the book on Bill Cosby. You can subscribe at Commonwealth Cos, called The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. That's coming soon to Amazon Kindle and paperback format. You can also support me, ladies and gentlemen, if you like to advertise. Email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com. You can go to the Patreon and look at some content that may not be available on YouTube. And also, you can give to the Cash App at the ticker at the bottom. That's one way to support me. Gavin Richard Esquire on Google Pay, PayPal, Zelle. Also, go to NornisCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. NornisCreoleBlends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nornis goes great with every dish. By the way, Papa Richard wanted me to tell you all it's low salt. And he's correct, it is low salt. So, low sodium. So, what you do is click on the icon where you have the shopping cart right here. Hit continue shopping, or is that just for me? Some of you may not have it. And just order right here. There you go. Of course, we have our music. Gotta Get On Up and Video Soul, which is available on Apple and iTunes. I need you all to please go ahead and purchase those from the Apple and iTunes store to support a brother. All right. Well, I said I was going to keep it to an hour 30. I did, Shawn. Sorry, I was running a little bit behind. Yeah. But I will see you next week.
All right, I'll see you then.
What's the live stream gonna be about tomorrow?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm thinking about making it something about. Well, I have to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out what it's going to be about. I mean, still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. All right, family. Good night. I'm gonna get me some rest because I gotta get it back up in the morning. But I enjoy it. I appreciate you all. Derek Bailey, Computer Robots, Black Voltron as always, Vulcan 2050, as well as Tyree, bunch of people. All right, y'all.
All right.
Thank y'all. Have a good night. We love you.
All right. You have a good night.